Since 1985, Sprecher Brewing Company has been committed to brewing a diverse variety of quality beers and sodas. Along with their commitment to a diverse product, they also have a strong commitment to diversity. Sprecher Brewing Company is proud to be a sponsor of the Focus on Diversity program. We are honored to participate in Milwaukee's great brewing tradition, and we're grateful for the opportunity to present our best to you.
And now, back to Focus on Diversity with Troy Shaw.
And welcome back to the program. As a very quick note, we would like to say here at Focus on Diversity, our crew and our guests would like to send out a heartfelt word of sympathy and blessing to Charlie Sykes. We deeply feel very sorry that has happened to your mother, and for the most part, we here wish you and your family a good blessing. God bless. Now let's continue on with the next subject. Violence in MPS. Violence in Milwaukee Public Schools has intensified, and calls to police have become daily occurrences in some of the city's schools. Teachers and staff are trained to bring knowledge to children in a safe environment and struggling to keep violence from taking over the classrooms. Ladies and gentlemen, here, this is all about handcuffs, flexicuffs, or whatever you want to call it. Let me just tell you right now, I am completely and utterly against handcuffs in the school being administered by staff. Why? With the ripple effect that caused to the entire community. Robert, what do you think?
You know, this whole issue of the flexicuff handcuffs, first of all, Charlene Harden of the school board acted appropriately in stopping this effort. Her leadership in this matter was instrumental in bringing forward a very serious concern about untrained people using flexicuffs against students, because there are a number of issues here, and one of those issues being the physical control of a student.
Exactly.
What are you telling me? That you're going to be able to stop this 6'3", 250-pound student by just knocking them down, taking them out, and putting flexicuffs on them, and you still got to sit on them because that person is still out of control? Whatever happened to the idea of training personnel to be able to speak in a way that causes an individual to be calm until individuals can arrive to support that individual from stopping that student from acting the way they are scared of?
I can't agree with this man more. Chris, look, the MPS is predominantly African-American, 62% African-American, about altogether 80% minority altogether. Who do you think they're going to put those flexicuffs on? They're going to put it on Latino and African-American students.
They are going to put them on MPS students who are out of control. And they're out of control because of their parents, not because of the teachers in that school. They do need to train the individuals who are going to be utilizing them. But if you look at the incidents that have happened at MPS in the last 5 years, unfortunately so, it is more of the African American and Latino community that has been in the fights. There was a young woman who was 15 years old, pregnant, who got in a fight, who had a switchblade that was attacking a teacher. There were guns brought into school by individuals who they tried to handcuff or tried to get away from those individuals, and they still couldn't, and they ran out of the building on the last one that I read. This is getting to be an out-of-control problem. MPS takes these students and bounces them from school to school to school to school to get them away from the problem. It doesn't work. They call each other and their buddies on their cell phones. Hey, come over to this school. We're going to have a fight at noon. Come over to this school. We're going to have this rumble over here. Whatever happened to the days when a parent would take that child who brought a gun or brought anything into school, disrespected that teacher, and actually smacked him on the backside, or grounded them, or did anything? You've got lazy parents who won't be out there taking control of their children.
Now, it's interesting, Angelica, because of course, when Wauwatosa West had a student killed its principal, I don't think they put any flexicuffs in those schools, and they didn't even put any metal detectors in those schools. So, what is your thoughts about that?
Well, you know what, I don't agree with Chris because he's kind of blaming the parents. You're saying on your speech, exactly. But you know, I raise my children. I do as well. But we also have, we're between the spear and the wall, because you're saying that we in the older days we used to smack them. Now, if you smack your child, guess who's going to come after you?
The police. The
police. So we either have in the community or in the school system, we must either go one way or the other. But if my child misrespects a teacher, yes, he's going to come home and I'm going to whack him in my home. But if you have a rival in your home, because there's always different. Do you have any children at this time?
I have two.
You have two.
Correct.
You must have one rival and one innocent. The one who's all goody-goody and the other one who can speak to you back,
yes.
right? Well, what about if the one who speaks to you back really calls the police? Because they do get into that age group when they say, well, if you hit me, I'm going to call the police. You know, you're 50-50. You can't really blame the parents, because what about if my child does go and yell at the teacher? Of course, I'm going to go home, and after that, I'm going to smack him off. But he knows that not to call the police.
The thing of it is that the social implications of this. And I'm sorry, I'm going to let you continue on.
Alrighty.
But the social implications of this far outreach what we could quite possibly fix right now. The social implications is that African American and Latino kids can't even be controlled by their kids. So who's to say that adult person who would dressed well is even under self-control? The ramifications of this, the perceptions of African American and Latino adults doesn't even look good in society as a whole. That's what's going on here.
Yes.
I mean, we're hurt across the board.
And the superintendent was recently on one of the local talk radios refuting a lot of what was being said in the reports of the Journal Sentinel. The idea that we are finding guns constantly in our schools is ingrained in those articles. People think that every school now in MPS has a student or two walking in with guns. Mm-hmm. And this is just an injustice to the majority of the students of the system who are law-abiding, who are there to do the academics, and who are there to achieve. And to come out with a report like this and not come out with something that shows how MPS has been moving in the positive direction. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen from the Journal Sentinel in the last 10 years any series of any positive things going on in MPS.
Oh.
It's always been a series of every negative thing they can hit the public school system with. And it's never about how MPS is dealing with a student of color population that outside of MPS is struggling to survive.
Chris, go ahead, because I'm going to give Angelica the last word.
I will agree. MPS, it's
so you're coming to our side now?
I'm sorry, not MPS. The Urinal Sentinel, the Journal Sentinel, is a piece of garbage. But it did state in there, and the superintendent did back it up, that they did pull out 76 weapons last year alone. That's 76 guns that were brought to school in whatever MPS school. And there are a lot. 99% of the students in those schools are great young people who want to achieve and want to be educated.
And not one shooting at an MPS school.
No one got shot in.
But
not like at West.
There.
Not like
what happens if all of a sudden they get upset at a teacher? And that Tulsa West, there were things that were done there. They should have had some lockdowns over there.
But they didn't, Chris, and they're not talking about putting flexicuts on their children.
They should have. But what percentage of the kids are actually going to get a flexicuff? Not even 1%. If it's by a trained individual who knows what they're doing, I fully back it at any of the schools.
I got to give the last word to Angelica, please.
I just need to know that, if we're going to do this, whenever children go out the city into more the suburbs and go to school, just like he said, blacks and Latinos go over there, and then if they get discriminated, they're going to get all upset, and of course they're going to start usually they do start a fight. So they're going to be the only ones who will have handcuffs instead of the other side when they're being picked on or blah, 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 blah. But those are the only ones, if you look at it, those are the only ones who are going to have handcuffs instead of the ones who really...
We have racist police in our
suburbs. Hey, well, the social stigma far outweighs trying to make, quote unquote, our schools safe to that particular degree. That's my comment on that. And when we come back, we'll have our closing comments. Stay with Focus on Diversity. We'll be right back.
CCI is a 5-year-old firm headquartered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We are an SAP solution firm specializing in SAP software and training solutions for our clients. What makes CCI so special is our staff. We bring in the best and brightest minds for everything we do. We are a revolutionary in our training, education, and solution implementation because we take responsibility. What a revolutionary idea, responsibility. We are proud to be one of the Future 50. Thank you.